If you know me, you know. Say, there are certain people be a na wamo den sem eba na me pese making kind to have a reaction on it. Now, one of such people, Martin Amidu. Now, Martin Amidu hails from the northern part of Ghana. Now, obviously, Bawku sensemo akosono. You expect people like that to speak. Inti Martin Amidu den sema babetudja. I don't want to waste time. I want us to dive deep into Martin Amidu Nsema Wode Atujano. Let's see what he's saying. Asembe na Martin Amidu Walker. And then your first time will subscribe and click the notification bell. So we understand latest news be about one sa ebeka. Mesra obi bia wutie me bia wefu eson. Wo pese wefu eba from in 10 no. Me recommend the book ama book no me ana metroye. Na the intia metro sa book no ene se embre bi na mefu eni senia unhu senia fu no aye wo screen so a embre bi na mefu ni and the same person me mefu ni na me ye nyama miensa sa nyama miensa no na matro wo book nim na obi biara every single day me nya testimony obi biara wa ye sa nyama miensa no ka kire me senia ende omunya ahonden senia ende omuefu akofo me se obema bia se wo pa ahonden wo bebia se eyempemu o se yedean eyewefu obema bia ahonden ni na no se wefu sha se ekofom a you are going to see the strength you are going to get into pe book ni bia to number na wo screen so no 0558074986 free ana WhatsApp obenya book no ne PDF ana ne twi video 100 cedis pe o click link na wo comment box ni mo a partial on sabe kan book no wo bebia wo bia ebeba na wa download wo phone so Young concept ni mu. Or say, Martin Amidu's reaction to the Bawku mediation reports and government statements by Martin ABK Amidu. Or say, I listened to the entire Ghana Broadcasting Corporation video recording of the alleged final circus performance on the formal presentation. Hey, Martin Amidu. Hey, Martin Amidu, Mr. Martin Amidu, we dear, one shall see ye cry. Hey, Eja Martin, with your one shall say ye. Hey, adi Otumfuo akọ president ho. Akọ presente. O say a final circus performance. That is, I won't put ya grobi krama. Circus pan. Hey. Anyway, let me just read. I say the formal presentation of the Bawku mediation report to President John Dramani Mahama on YouTube on Wednesday, 16th November 2025, in the night of the same day, and read the Government of Ghana official statement on the Bawku conflict mediation report on the night of 17th November 2025. I came away with a firm conviction that the whole performance and government statements have no foundation under the 1992 Constitution and the laws of Ghana. See, Martin Amidu say, Adia His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ni Otumfuo ye no. Any Ghana yefa Ghana Constitution na any jinabie bia di entia no workasa. Also, let me say from the onset that I recognize that I am just only one of the millions of citizens of Ghana under the 1992 Constitution. I also know that there is a vast Ghanaian sociocultural mentality of sycophantic compatriots who would ask who I am to express my opinion on matters involving the President of Ghana and the revered Asantehene. My first answer is that I was socialized throughout life into a family that frowned upon hypocrisy. Secondly, the 31st December revolution empowered me to defend my conscience. Inti Martin Amidu so nimse nkrofo beka so no kore wan. Now President ni Asantehene aya de wo beka safa ho kasabone. O man nkrofo ate ase. So no Martin Amidu efia ye tete no efiri mu no. Se efie no omo ye nkrofo bi a omo eka wo mo adwen. Omo mpanya atwom. Inti ade ne bebi eda no omo de beto. Sa na ye tete no ofie. The second one, and they say, or joining the 31st December revolution, Rollins time. Na sa 31st December revolution now or joining you know, and man na honding say obe defended the wonu gidi. Also, thirdly, and more fundamentally, the 1992 Constitution, which I took part in drafting as the chairman of the House Committee of the Consultative Assembly, 1991, and in particular Article 3 of the 1992 Constitution thereof enables me as one citizen out of the millions to defend the Republic of Ghana as by law established. The third reason, and they say 1992 Constitution na yɛtwerɛ no ɔno Martin Amidu no ɔyɛ chairman ɛma committee baako a ɛka ho a yɛtwerɛ committee no. Nti Constitution ne deɛ ɛyɛ ne nsa ho adwuma Constitution na ɛda hɔ no ɛyɛ ne nsa ho adwuma nti onimu. Nti sɛ wɔkasa ɔde enyama miɛnsa na ɛka. Also, in short, those who know my life from childhood know that I, Martin Alamisi Banks Kaiser Amidu, will stand alone even if I am in a minority of one Ghanaian citizen. My middle name is not Benz, as the media erroneously continues repeating, but Benz derived from Sir Alan Benz, as my classmates used to call me in Bawku Middle Mixed Boarding School in 1960s. And actually, say Martin Amidu Kroko School or Bawku. In America say, oh yeah, Bawku asem no efane ho atiasie. Karima Mahama at Starboy, are you there? Hey, Martin Amidu. You see, and that's one thing I like about Martin Amidu's writings. I mean, I don't know how to call it, but it is very formal and informal at the same time. Atiasie. The writings no sanity. Formal yet informal. I don't know, maybe there's a word for that. I'll say, be that as it may, I will endeavor to limit and to be measured in my reaction to the mediation reports and the government statement on it, in the hope that going forward the government will pursue reconciliation and peace building in the Bawku conflict based solely on the status quo and the enforcement of the existing law on the Bawku affairs. I said the 1992 Constitution and Laws of Ghana. The preamble to the Government of Ghana official statement. The Government of Ghana official statement on the Bawku conflict mediation report cannot be an official government statement anchored under the 1992 Constitution and the Laws of Ghana. The second preamble to the purported government statement contradicts the content of the main text of the statement when it states that, in keeping with its unwavering commitment to peace, constitutional order, the rule of law, and national cohesion, the government hereby formally states its position on the findings and recommendations of the mediation report as follows. Now, I'll say, endorsement of the mediation reports and its recommendations. I say the government refused or failed to state any provision of law or the constitution upon which the preamble to the government statement was based, because there is none supporting the appointment of Asantehene as a sole mediator of the Bawku conflict, and there is further none to support the government statement empowering the government to state in paragraph 1 of the statement inter alia that the government fully endorses or accepts all the findings and recommendations contained in the mediation report. Also, the 1992 Constitution enjoins the President and the executive branch to be at all times transparent and accountable to the sovereign people of Ghana, of whom I am one, for the legal and constitutional basis of its exercise of power, which includes the appointed mediator's powers or jurisdiction, and the provisions under which the government statement was issued. One cannot put something, the government statement, on nothing, the mediator's report, the mediator's power being pertinently unconstitutional and unlawful. So this was one of the points that the Nairi Mamprusifo ehene kesiye no. Osha ono so letter na eba abonte no a point we be na woma. In the first place, it looks like Otumfuo Tutu's position on the mediation reports is being questioned. Say emrabe nema Otumfuo Tutu kwan. So what number be reports na aban NG reporting into. Basically, it looks like that's the question we are asking now. But then my answer is that, you see, why is it that we are acting like say and then Otumfuo Tutu asem no ye ekokoto ninim? Why? I mean, why are we acting like that? Say Otumfuo Tutu wende en asem no kokoto ninim. I want to understand. The entire year actors are Because under President Akufo-Addo na asem no koko to Otumfuo say to him. And that yeni name say at the end of the day Otumfuo say to mediation report ne by no na edi be ye adwuma. We sat down, we didn't raise any issues. And the reports by a we no. Yeni na asem we can say Otumfuo ne kra no to me be no was obetena ade. So basically that's what we are saying. Is it not the same Otumfuo same see or not or now or not now so our day in Cabo Mebaye? Between the Andanis and the is it Abudus and the Andanis, Mamboni Yamo Fanchame. Is it not the same Otumfuo? So why is it that today Bawku di ene dia ye pese ye trace Otumfuo kra wa ye hwan se wo tena asem ne so? But enye Mahama ne di Otumfuo tena asem ne so. It was President Akufo-Addo. We didn't raise the issues then. Men the Mahama ba no we raise issues say di ntia kra no di Otumfuo tena so. And the crampo the embra man kwan embra be ne man kwan say Otumfuo. I mean seriously, is that what we are doing? I said that Santehine's mediation, whether pursuant to Nanado's request or President Mahama's request, is not a customary mediation under Asante tradition and customary law because the Bawku Naba and the Nayiri are not subjects of the Ashanti stool or residents of Asante to bring them under its customs. Inti uti nsemo kan Bawku for ensha Asantehene ase. We nso ensha Asantehene ase. Inti na no de ontumi ntina se wodi omo asem. Basically I think that's what he's trying to say. I said the Bawku Naba and the Nayiri are supreme customary rulers of their respective exclusive traditional areas in their own right, for which reason the 1992 Constitution and the Chieftaincy Act provides for how disputes between them may be resolved and appealed against. Indeed, Asante is not part of the Mole Dagbani group or affiliated to them for one to say that there is a traditional and customary nexus connecting the Kusasi and Mamprusi chiefdoms to the Ashanti kingdom. So clearly, Osha issues are Martin Amidu raising. You know, what I say at this point we are all understanding it, right? I say the 1992 Constitution mandates a government of laws and not of men, and its main foundation of democracy and the rule of law. Consequently, neither President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's nor President Mahama's will is lawful unless grounded in a due process of law in willing it. Former President Akufo-Addo sabotaged whatever request he had made to the Asantehene in 2023, when in October 2024, he undermined the process by refusing to enforce the status quo in the Bawku conflict, but rather enabled its escalation with Mrs. Gertrude Tokonu's incompetence as the Chief Justice in the timing of the Court of Appeal decision of 17th October 2024. There is a history to how President Akufo-Addo, as a Member of Parliament and Minister for Foreign Affairs, courted the Bawku Naba for electoral votes, since a meeting between them was facilitated by the late John Ndebugri, then Member of Parliament for Zebila in Accra in 2006, and Nanado's betrayal of that trust in October 2024. One thing about Martin Amidu, he will always mention names What I say, he'll find a way to add incrophobia or Philly say or more anye bibiye. Intiende, Martin Amidu say, Embra wo nanke was a President Akufo-Addo one enforce. So basically, Martin Amidu is trying to let us believe say, sa Bawku nsem we kan nanke ni kwansi yetina say ye koka. Because Embra wo nanke was a President Akufo-Addo one enforce. But when to me enforce sa Embra no. And almost say womo kwati mediation committee say Otumfuo ntena no nti owie no eno de get to talk on so ba be kan say get to talk on no de wa bon sa ma me na Akufo-Addo be fan as Chief Justice ni de wa bon hu bi da Martin Amidu. I say President Mahama cannot therefore base his request to the Asantehene on former President Akufo-Addo's request, which he knew was not based on any law and which the former president did not intend to be taken seriously. So I say Mahama so by and Kenny Kwan say or follow the Akufo-Addo ye because Akufo-Addo appointment are appointed Asantehene no nim say Embrabia and Techi. As a President Mahama therefore has his own cross to carry and not to rely on Nanado's previous request. I am consequently asking President Mahama to inform Ghanaians transparently and accountably the law under which President Mahama the law under which he requested the Asantehene to mediate the Bawku conflict instead of enforcing the status quo ante the coming into force of the 1992 constitution, which even the Otumfuo and the Akufo-Addo governments did not challenge and try to enforce by befriending the Bawku Naba for electoral votes. Or there His Excellency John Dramani Mahama said, Mbra ben ene ma kwan se won ma Otumfuo embete committee because ruling edaho. Na ruling edaho ene say asase ne yekusasefo ne dia yekusasefo ene wo se omudi hene e wa mo asase so. Inti die ntia na Mahama ba ya won enforce ruling no wo san so kope Otumfuo se Otumfuo mbete because at the end of the day Otumfuo nso e ba no the same ruling no so kokko arrive at. It was say Akufo-Addo ni Kufuor ba no they were supposed to enforce that ruling. Now so omo anya sa because no mo pe votes. Into no filise na Mahama ba na nka o se Mahama eni kwan se okọ entertain Asantehene committee ne kra. Kambra na ye rule ato ho no ho na nka o se Mahama ema kusasefo eje omo asase. Ana omo di omo hene wo omo asase so. As the President Mahama enforced the status quo during his previous tenure, so what went wrong this time round to warrant him farming out a presidential responsibility outside the constitutional scheme to a mediator? Ko here wishes to know. Vandal mates. To see Mbra Mahama ba the first time no or enforce Mbra no Emma kusasefo ankasa edi hene ewo ana Emma kusasefo ankasa eye what you say internet ya no muka se NDC ba na ntokwa na to atwa na nyama no but say Mahama ba no won fa say Mbra no Emma kusasefo tina asase ne so na kusasefo na edi hene wo asase ne so ene dia ba ne sen na wo siki for mediator into no friend who kun hia into see kun hia pese kun hia bisa say I think Mahama was also a V-mate, right? No more near Commonwealth war hall. So see Vandal mate. I say in the absence of the government stating the legal basis of the Asantehene's mediation report, I dare say that the conclusion circus enacted and performed at the Jubilee House on 16th December 2025 and the Government of Ghana's statement on the Bawku conflict mediation reports of 17th October 2025, which have no constitutional or legal basis, appears as a gargantuan political scam by the government on the Bawku conflict to justify the needless death between 7 January 2025 and 16th December 2025, which in my estimation exceeds those of the past 8 years under the previous regime. The gravity of the matter is that no amount of money can pay for those precious lives of innocent citizens of Ghana, most of whom voted on 7 December 2024. Socioeconomic recovery and development of Bawku. Without validating the legal basis of the findings and recommendations of Asantehene's mediation report on the Bawku conflict, I see the socioeconomic recovery and development of Bawku segments of the government statements. I see the socioeconomic recovery and development of Bawku segments of the government statement anchored upon the mediation report as another Alfred Woyome looting case in the making. I believe that the government of Ghana has spent more than 1 billion Ghana cedis managing the Bawku conflict in the past 9 years. The composition of the management of the 1 billion Ghana cedis, 1 billion Ghana cedis Bawku Revitalization Fund, and the high-level committee chaired by the Minister for Finance, who also serves as the acting Minister for Defense, with the Upper East Regional Minister and the Majority Leader, who is the Member of Parliament for Bawku Central, demonstrates how ineffective the utilization of the funds will be, as it will be informed more by electoral politics than a reconciling and united national endeavor. It also smells of pure crony capitalism dressed as conflict resolution. Now, another one. Mama Mwati says, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, ama order say yen settle 1 billion Ghana cedis nyen fanko siesie boko na o trese sa de no wo hwe omo ayede omo atena so na ye be ye ne politics na hwe ni ye a bebi a ye ko siesie no ye bebi bi a NDC fo ne pe ebe ase omo side no a omo eni be what you say omo mbe benefit omo pe na bi ebe yusu sika na mo because omo mo te board ne so ni na NDC government appointees. Also, the perception that money can resolve identity-based and intractable conflict is wrong. On the contrary, identity-based and intractable conflicts generate their own political economy, which brings to the beneficiaries, whether warlords, security personnel, government officials, members of parliament, political parties, civil societies, organizations, or others, billions of Ghana cedis at the cost of innocent lives lost yearly on the violence attendant upon the conflict. As a call for national support and reconciliation, the government can only call on all traditional authorities, political leaders, youth groups, civil society organizations, religious bodies, development partners, and the broader citizenry to support the peace building and reconciliation process in the spirit of unity, restraint, and patriotism when the Bawku conflict mediation report is founded within the framework of the 1992 Constitution. How does one expect a national consensus for peace building and reconciliation when one promotes the political economy of the conflict by a fund which is to be managed by a high-level committee that is pertinently socio-political, religiously partisan within the conflict environment and nationally? Radix malurum es cupititas. Hey, what's in Amidu? Also, conclusion. When I read paragraph 7 of the government statement, which stated inter alia that in response, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has directed the ... I wondered whether the allocation of the 1 billion Ghana cedis Bawku Revitalization Fund was pursuant to an appropriation by Parliament, a cabinet decision, or out of the President's personal generosity to the people of Bawku and its environs. President Mahama's constitutional responsibility is to be faithful and true to the Republic of Ghana, to at all times preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and dedicate to the service and well-being of the people of the Republic of Ghana, and to do right to all manner of persons, and let posterity determine his place in history of Ghana. Sycophancy and stomach politics will destroy and not help the legacy of President John Dramani Mahama and the National Democratic Congress during this tenure of his government. The 1992 Constitution demands at all times a government of laws and not of men. Martin ABK Amidu. James Endra and all this ankrata we buy. Well, that is Martin Amidu, very typical. Martin Amidu throw krata diana a hard hitting, and so I am not even surprised. What do you think? Montreal Mwadri. You see, in things like this, the MSR and say, in as much as we criticize the president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to say Senior Martin Amidu Wakano, I would have been happy I would have been happier if Martin Amidu laid down only alternative I will feel say and Mahama use. I know say as more kind say ebia yes, Mahama should enforce the law. What you say, but just saying say enforce the law no. You see, baby a bokun sem no edru no. It can even escalate them more. And so say Abanya said that be mempene me ko enforce law now. There is this perception already say kusasi for NDC for. It is a one for a buo and yes okay man proceed for no yempene ye ko enforce law now. What you are doing is that it's like you are Abanya kwa tie tribe Bawku say what you say. And so for me personally, I think say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the mediation team, the purpose ne say nanke ye ne side ni nantena se ne yen kasa ni yen hu. And yakasa ye hu de be no at this point, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama can decide to use the force. And no, you can say, well, yet not saying you can anye juma and a force no a year then afe yeba. So for me, I don't have a problem with the mediation. And then we are saying, say, Otumfuo say to me be no wa obey we no. Sa kasa na ye kani na no. I seriously I don't understand. Inti say the constitution enka answer. Otumfuo ehun say Ghana baby. Ana ye nua ye hu say baby bibi say ye say kuro a ye tim Otumfuo ne hu ne say nanim onyam ontena so no woni ahemfo yi ne colleagues yi enkasa ne asomdwe mbra ye pese ye tre say eno no Ghana constitution men ene sa ne ye o man we dia ene sa ka nyama bebre o man we mu ye tumi nka hu we all know our culture ye nina ye ni mo man ya tim ye culture say asembe fia eya na ye kotai panyi echi na panyi na akwakoka asem no eye culture eni ye constitution mu but eye Ghana ye culture. And so if President Akufo-Addo ehun sa de no na waye na Mahama ba ye nso wono nso say okay ye nto aswa today we want to make it look like say no enye constitutional. And then again the side where Martin Amidu was saying say sikano and the ebeye say politics no for me e ka me nkwa na nke ho no na ka Martin Amidu emma alternative okay de ne enye ebi osusu say yemfa minority leaders so nto so ento committee ne so to represent the MPP and also say yemfa MPs bia wo mo free sa area ne nso nto so to ana what I say bibi sa na nke bia wo de kan ho a ka me feel say anke beboa. But as far as I'm concerned, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's government so far show say they want to let Ntokwano etucha. So far they are showing it. And you know, that's A for effort. Mr. Momontre, your comment box nimo. Medasi.